Ironman Tallinn, Estonia. This one's taking place August 23rd, so it's coming up here in a couple of weeks here. Rolling through the images, this is exactly what you're going to get on race day. Classified as a base swim, flat bike, and a flat run. High air temperatures, let's call it low 70s, low temperatures in the low 50s, and average water temperature is 64. Let's dive into the course profile and things you need to know. First off, we're going to have a two-loop swim here, and this is separated by an Aussie exit swim. The other unique thing about this course is you're going to have to make your way out to the swim start. You have a very shallow entryway, and you're just going to, you won't be timed. You'll just be walking out to your swim start over there. Looking at our course here, we are swimming clockwise around this pattern over here before we get out for our Aussie exit. It's in the water. And then we'll get back in and complete the same loop again, and then we will be heading out to the finish over there. Something to be aware of when you do go into the finish, you're going to have to travel or traverse these shallow waterways over here. So this is an opportunity for a lot of athletes to cramp up, switching from the swimming to running, especially on that sand right in there. So make sure you are ready to kind of run with resisted water in there. Just a little pro tip for you. So starting out, we do have a mad dash that's going to happen to this turn, left-hand turn over here, and then we were going to head down to the bottom of our course. Things are going to slowly spread out over here, but again, this is going to be during some shallow water over here, so you're probably not going to be swimming as fast as you want to there. Making a right-hand turn, again, don't overthink these two, come in very short amount of time. Turn right, keep swimming, turn right, keep swimming again. Even if you slightly get off of your line, it's not going to be a huge deal in the whole grand scheme of things because you're going to have a long way to fix that down here. And a trap for a lot of athletes out here is to zigzag to find the perfect line out here. Think back to what we just said. If you do get a little off course out here, you want to slowly fix that over the course of this long stretch here. The only reason I can argue that you would want to immediately correct it is if a big pack is coming up or if a group of swimmers that is going to help pace you, right? So you can get that drafting benefit down here. That's one of the only real reasons for you to really get back onto your line right there. But if you're swimming by yourself, boom, straight way over there. Again, two quick right turns over here. And as we get to this section over here, this is going to be where alarm bells start to go off. Athletes are going to start to realize that they've overdone it. Watch out for the Aussie exit over here. When you do hop out of the water, that's another great opportunity for athletes to cramp up. So make sure your body is ready to go vertical before you go back horizontal again. This section over here on our second loop, really important for you. The double turn is going to be a great opportunity for you to jump places and get to where you need to be in the water. If you're having trouble breaking free of the group that you're in, this is going to be a great opportunity for you to do so. Long straightaway number 2 again. This is another place where you can slowly break away from people, but if you have found that you've overdone it a little bit, this stretch should just be maintaining your effort and getting ready for the bike. Speaking of the bike, let's dive into that. So this is our bike course this year. This course, as we roll over it, you do not do it one time, you do not do it two times, you're going to do it 3 times. So this course will get a little bit busy over here. A little technical, not really. We are carrying 564 meters of elevation. This is what it looks like out here with the aid stations out here. So this is our not our first aid station, that's our third aid station. Zooming in over here, that's on the other side of the road. So when you are going out, you're going to pass that personal needs very early on. And in some races, you can access that on any lap you want. I would imagine most athletes aren't going to access it there. But T1, this is our swim finish. We are heading out over here. You're only going to do this section once before you get out into the main strip over here. Looking at the mile markers, kilometer markers, 10 kilometers is already down here in the map. So a good chunk of the map is eaten up already. We're going to take a right-hand turn, another right-hand turn. This is already 20K, 30K, so you get that out and back, that turnaround spot over there, and then 40K, 50K, and then the 60K mark happens right when you turn around right there. Aid station number one is actually going to take place right here at about the 25, 24 kilometer mark over here. Aid station number two happens down over here. Let's call it 43 kilometers in it. And aid station number four right here, right before that 60K mark. Let's call it 55K. This is what it's going to look like out on a map for you right here. The blue gas station symbols are the personal needs section here. I've put it up here 2 times and realized if we do zoom in, you do have that aid station right before it on the other side of the road, just a little too close together right here. So aid station 1, 2, and 3 all happening right there. And then the personal needs section when you turn around. That section, we can just zoom in and get rid of this, or take care of this right away. When we do our turnaround spot over here, you're going to have an aid station on the right-hand side of the road over here. You're going to go and turn around, come back for that personal needs station over here, as is listed on the map. If this is the case, this is 2 opportunities for you to really slow down out here. This is also going to be another area where a lot of athletes are going to be around. So make sure you are on your P's and Q's and you are aware of what's happening in front of and both behind you during that section. That is going to be a huge priority there. I would much rather prioritize safety versus speed in that section. Looking at our weather profile here, we have a projected wind coming from the south-southwest over here. That's going to make coming back in great. If you look at the wind forecasts for the next couple of days here, we are recording this on the 16th of July. You can see that the weather is coming from the northeast, traveling down to the southwest in the majority of our days, which is pretty much the opposite of what we have, right? We have the forecasted exact thing that's going to happen right here on Wednesday the 23rd. So keep in mind that when you're out here, wind patterns are pretty much going one of 2 ways as of right now. There is kind of a third direction that is popping up in the next couple of days here, but for the most part, it goes one of 2 ways. So if it is the opposite way from this is going to change the bike strategy for you. So we're going to roll with this strategy, the original one that we talked about, going from the southwest to northeast section up here. So when we talk about the course, this is what we are going to be talking about. Going back to the overall course out here, you can see we have about, let's call it 2,800 feet of elevation gain. Their site calls for a little less, right? So the truth is probably somewhere in between out here. We do have a couple of GPS jumps out here, so likely this elevation is not correct. It's probably going to be a little bit less out here. But either way, let's dive into the main specific things of our course here. So coming off the first little bit here, we do have a hill that will take place at about that I'm going to use miles here, that 4.5, 4.6 mile marker over here. Once you get past this lake out here, a slight little bump. And again, this isn't going to be super crazy. Even this really big GPS jump, we have 2.8% out here. The max grade on this course is a 3.9%. And again, it's probably incorrect. It's probably a little softer than that. So as we continue off over here, we are going to be battling a headwind during this whole stretch. Athletes are going to be ready to rock and roll. This is going to be the first 10 miles of our race course done and dusted here. Very important for you to make sure you are aware of the wind. It's probably going to start off a little slower and ramp up throughout the day. Not uncommon. Also, going back to our swim, not uncommon for it to have a little bit of chop on it as well. So just make sure you're aware of that. So back to our bike and our 10 miles in. We've battled the wind for 10 miles out here before we start turning right onto the meat and potatoes of the course. Turning right, we're getting a little less technical out here. We have a downhill and some rolling terrain before we head off to the turnaround, the out and back section over here. So this section over here should be a priority for you to kind of gain that speed back a little bit. This is going to be a crosswind section, so an easy opportunity for you to break away from people or to kind of claw some of those places back with minimal effort here. Just being aware of what's happening. Tailwind section coming back through here that will help Cohen climbing up to our turnaround over here. We're going to hit an aid station along the way as well. And then when we turn around back here, we are going to have a downhill. It's also going to be into the headwinds. So kind of an even out scenario over there. Going back all the way to our little circular pattern down here. Once we go here, we are experiencing a headwind crosswind again. And once you get to about this spot in the course here, you will have finished that climb out there about 2.25%. And arrow is going to be a huge priority coming through right here at the bottom of our course. We're going to hit an aid station, and after you hit that aid station, if you do have a tailwind, it's going to be all systems go for a little bit. You do have a chunky little bit of elevation, but there's no reason you shouldn't be prioritizing arrow a ton of time during this section out here. The hills that we are talking about are less than 2% in both cases, so stronger cyclists will likely be able to stay in that arrow position here. As we roll back into town, we are going to be greeted by some downhills, and you will be flying. Aid station is right here at the top of this little ramp over here, so you do have the possibility to miss this aid station, be going too fast out here. So make sure you are reconning the course going through this section here and being aware of what's happening on race day. All right. After you turn around, hitting that personal needs area, you'll probably be able to grab it here or the next time through, and it's pretty much a carbon copy of what we just talked about for loops 2 and loop 3. All right. The biggest thing that's going to change are the wind and the amount of athletes on course for our faster athletes. Mid-pack athletes, it's going to be about the same after here for a long time. Back of the pack athletes, you're likely going to start out with some cleaner roads, and then it's going to get filled in for a while here. But mid-pack, front of the pack athletes out here, this is going to be where you start to separate yourself. I love the 3-loop courses out here, but it does get a little crowded out here. So that first loop you had clean roads, all you really had to do was monitor the race dynamics and things like that. Second and third loop, you're going to have to monitor more things. You're going to have to monitor those road conditions and also other humans around you. So make sure you take note of what's going on for the road conditions on loop 1, and so you can navigate those appropriately on loop 2. I know you're going to get more and more fatigued out there as you do to loop 2 and loop 3, but you are going to need to prioritize looking behind you every once in a while, making sure no one's behind you when you swoop around someone to try to pass them. And just watch out for a lot of people. When you do hit this section on loop 2 and 3, some of the areas become more and more important out here. So this crosswind section out here, this is a priority section for me. Of course, we know coming back in from this turnaround section here, we are going to hit the headwinds again. This is another big arrow opportunity. This is going to be a downhill heavy section. 2% is going to be our max negative downhill gradient. So arrow is going to be really, really big here. Watch what's happening in front of you with other athletes. Make sure you are not missing these aid stations. Cooling yourself off going to be essential here on race day. Another huge, huge priority section is this section ranging from here to our aid station right there. This section carries about 110, 115 feet of elevation gain for 5.5 miles. Max grade is that 3%. It's going to happen right around in there. So this section is a little chunky. Make sure you're driving those downhills to eat up the elevation on the uphills. You're not going to be able to do it for the whole elevation of the hills, but think if anyone's raced Louisville in America, think Louisville, that kind of terrain. You're going to need to drive those downhills to eat up some of the uphills, and you will get faster as the hills progressively continue. You're going to be greeted with the great tailwind on this section rolling back into town, and then loop 3 is a carbon copy again. All right. And that is our bike course done and dusted. Arrow is going to be a huge priority out here, and the speeds are going to be high in a number of places out here. Run course. Run course is a 4-loop run course out here. This run course is going to look like this. So you're going to have your first aid station pretty much immediately when you get out of that T2 area. Running along out of the town over here, you are going to be hitting aid station number 2, running around, let's call it a turnaround, and then aid station 3 over here. So as you are starting off over here, you're actually going to run past an aid station on the other side of the path over there. Don't let that discourage you, because one is coming up for you over here, and then you get another one pretty much immediately down there. Aid station number 4 is going to take place at the top up here. This is a little hill, which we will discuss in a second. You'll see why. You're going to hit the turnaround spot over here before you zig and zag all the way back down over here. Now, something that you should take note of for your aid, and we're going to make this really big for you. This is our This is our turnaround at the finish line. You're going to head back into here. You're going to zig and zag right around this parking lot section. You're going to turn around pretty much right before the finish line, which is cruel, but you're going to make your way over here to start your next lap, and then you'll hit your aid station down here. This aid station is not dual-sided, so you'll only have that available to you on this side. So after you start your lap each time. And that is the aid stations. What that looks like on the overall map is something like this. As we roll off over here, the thing that is not labeled, oh, here it is. The thing that is actually labeled up here is personal needs up here. Athlete guide is not out yet, so I don't know if the personal needs is going to be available on each loop. I would imagine so, but make sure you read that athlete guide to double check before you get there and do your pre-race strategy that way. Now, aid stations looking like this. We have a ton of availability for you. You will see that my map carries 922 feet of elevation gain. I do think this is not correct. The reason for that is we have a monster hill right here, but if we shift a little bit and let's go to GPS mode so everybody can see here, we're going to turn on Street View for you. Right? And so this is our lake over here, right? We're going to be going up in that direction, and this is the path I want you guys to follow out here. So the monster hill on our GPS route, we do go up a hill, but it's not the super aggressive mountain that is labeled at about 4% out here. You can see we do go up for sure before we get to the top of the parking lot up here. And let's just continue up here, right? And it does kind of flatten out a little bit. On their course, right, they will see that, or they will say that once you get up here, the elevation does continue, and then it definitely does. You can see it's clearly going uphill here, but I don't think it's going up 5% at all, right? I just don't think that's the case. If you look at their map out here, their Strava file map, the road that we're talking about is right around here. They've got it listed at about 2.5%, and that's kind of what it looks like for me. We do have a slight 5% for a second out there, but that's just for a second, and that is right before the parking lot. So that would make sense. So just a little PSA for us. So what does that mean for how we should be attacking this course? Well, first of all, we do have a number of areas where we are exposed to the elements. We do have a number of places where it's going to be pretty nice running through here. This is going to be very, very controlled and hidden, right? So we do have the opportunity to get secluded, get shade, all of that fun stuff. The thing that I really like about this course is that it is taking you through a number of different scenarios. You got like that city vibe right through here. We also have the kind of hidden terrain, the little path mode right out there. And then we have kind of approaching civilization before we disappear, kind of houses, and then we come back down. So you get a ton of different feedback through here. I would break this up into 4 different sections out here. The first section, rolling out of town, that's section number 1, approaching the little, let's call it the U or the horseshoe out here. Section number 2, we're going out and back over there. Section number 3, out and back right here. So this is kind of, for me, this is kind of my like spot, my hub. Section number 4 is that finish, this spot to the finish line and then approaching back out over there. So if you wanted to make it 3, you can make it 3 sections. I just do 4 for me, for my personal sanity. And the easy way to attack this course is to go section by section by section. Get to there, get to there, get to there. Just get down the road. The biggest elevation pain spots that we do have is the one that we just focused on right along the waterway right here. So if you are struggling a little bit, this is a spot where you do need to get yourself ready to run. If you are trying to get those podium positions or chase the top spots out here, this is an easy and obvious place for a lot of athletes to jump and throw a little move or dig down to get some people off their back, get some separation between you and them. But coming back down is also another area where you have to be aware of what's going on around you, all right? A lot of athletes cramp up. A lot of athletes overdo it on the downhill section over here. Make sure you're watching your running form. Make sure you're aware of what's happening. Aid stations are plentiful, and they're around all the time. So there's no real reason you should be cramping or having, really bad issues unless you really overdid it on the bike, which is a strong possibility out here. All right, make sure you're watching yourself. And big tip here, I know we run right by the finish line, right? We run right by it. I wouldn't even look at it for those first couple of laps. Just get to that section, turn around, pay it no mind. All right. A lot of athletes will get in their heads and they will get really dejected when they get to this spot of the race. Just ignore it. Don't worry about it. Get back out there and attack those loops. All right. Section that you can make up the most time on somebody, right, is the section starting from here and making your way all the way down to about here. Right, we have 2.5 miles. We only have 44 feet of elevation gain. Max gradient is 1.1%. So this is pretty much a runner's paradise right through here. If you overdo it, then the hill, which is going to be a little bit less than this, the hill on course is going to feel like a mountain. All right. Also, the downhill might not feel super great either. A lot of athletes overlook that. So this is one of the biggest priorities out on race day for you. So get yourself ready for this section each time. It's easy to do right through there. I mean, just looking at the map and getting things. You have an aid station right here. Take your fuel, digest, and get ready. Once you make this turn over here, boom, out and back. You got 2 aid stations to help you along the way. So a great opportunity for you to springboard to your success there. All right. One of the most challenging sections of our run is going to be from the bottom of our little hill that we just talked about to our little finish over here. We do have a slight uphill drag. It's not straightforward. It's a little bit up and down. It's a little bit jagged. It's just going to be annoying out there. So uh, that is going to be the mentally tough part on course. Make sure you are ready for that each loop. All right, each loop. Faster runners, lap 1, lap 2, you're probably going to have wide open spaces out there, and it's going to get a little bit busier for you later on in the day. Mid-pack athletes, you are probably going to start off with a healthy amount of people on course, and it's only going to get busier until it doesn't. All right. Back of the pack athletes, you are likely going to have the opposite experience. You're likely going to start off with a bunch of people, and those people will slowly disappear throughout your experience out there. Good luck to everyone racing this year, 2025 Ironman Estonia. If you like what you saw, like, subscribe, share it around. And if you need any coaching advice or tips, tricks, make sure you reach out to the contact info down below. Good luck, everybody.